Maclin, U.S. Army veteran turned pro wrestler, formerly known as Steve Cutler in WWE, a member of the Forgotten Sons. Steve was the Impact World Champion not long ago and currently the inaugural TNA International Champion. It's a pleasure to have you, Steve, with us to welcome.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. Steve, I'll take you a bit back. I want to understand you as a wrestler. How did you come about and all of those things? So, yeah, the main story, of course, is how you transition from military boots to wrestling boots at Monster Factory. My question to you would be, what really sparked your initial passion into wrestling and how did it build on from there?
I grew up loving pro wrestling. My grandmother raised me on Roddy Piper and Andre the Giant, and then I fell in love with Ultimate Warrior, and then Bret Hart, and then Stone Cold, and that was it. For me as a kid and as a teenager growing up, I just loved pro wrestling, and it was just always one of my loves. And when I was getting out of the Marine Corps, I had a few friends on the independent scene that just said, "Hey, you should really try this. Like, it's something that I think you'd be very good at." And I got into a wrestling ring and I fell in love, and it gave me purpose again and gave me just it just was fun. It's like falling in love with a woman. That's kind of how it became, where I just was like, I need to know everything about this. I need to learn how all the specifics and do everything. And it just became so fun for me and such a challenge and just eye-opening to how much different as a wrestling fan it is, but being on the other side as a professional, as actually doing it and going out there and performing in front of the crowd, that there's so much more that goes into it. And then the more that I've been doing this, there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes as well, with the camera crew, the lighting crew, that marketing, distribution, like it's just there's so much that goes into the world of pro wrestling that I love to learn each and everything about it. And it's just a never-ending learning lesson every day that I get to do it.
Fantastic. And you did mention about how did you start, like from that Monster Factory setup to WWE within a year was quite quick. You were there in WWE for roughly
Yes.
7 years there, including the Forgotten Sons, which I
Yes.
personally do remember that because I really loved that entire gimmick and character. It
Well,
was
thank you.
unfortunate I didn't really, develop the way it should have been. But then again, what was the most like valuable lessons that you took and that you're applying from that stint to your TNA, run now?
It was just keeping my mouth shut and my ears and eyes open. I watched. I was never one to ask questions just to ask questions to kiss up to the higher ups just because I was learning. And I loved the dynamic of television wrestling compared to live event wrestling. And there is a difference, but there's also a very similar way to do it too. And it's learning how to work hard camera, the roaming cameras, learning how to work time cues for TV and how a TV show is run from start to finish and how it's breakdown in segments. And I got that education at WWE, and now I got to implement that my from day one at TNA Wrestling, which I feel is an upper hand that I got to have just because the education and my time that I got to learn in WWE. And now I try to instill that at TNA when I am working with younger guys and try to give them tips here and there when they can, when they do ask. And I love TV wrestling, but I also love live event wrestling where I get to go out and you'll do some things that you're not going to usually see on live TV, which is fun. But
Yeah.
sometimes those things get a little bit over on live events where you eventually bring it into TV. So you kind of get to toy with the crowds, and especially going to India for the first time and seeing how the crowd is. I don't know what they like. I don't know what they're going to react to. So like that's the fun part for me, is to go out there and just kind of play with certain things that I can do or not.
Fantastic. And you joined TNA 2021, became world champion like within 2 years of you being there. Now the inaugural international champion. What's the significance? What does this mean for you to carry that world title, which was once held by the likes of Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, and a lot of illustrious names there? Now the company really trusting you as a flag bearer for this inaugural championship. What does it mean to you? Uh, how do you look at that? Look at this.
You just said it right there. I'm up there with the names of AJ Styles and Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, and just it's something I never thought, but now it's taking that and putting that weight on my back. And I said it from when I won the TNA International Championship, when I won it in Vegas at Unbreakable, that this is the workhorse title. And that's what I plan to make it. And I want to go out there and defend it all across the globe. To anybody that wants to come and challenge me at TNA and cross that line, know that I'm the one that holds the line. Hell, I wear it on my t-shirt for a reason. So if you want a t-shirt at tnamerch.com before I get there in India, get it now at TNA merch. But no, it's I love pressure. I love taking that challenge as well. and whoever wants to step up. And I know whoever's going to step up to me at GLW, but then I know I have a title defense at Victory Road as well, coming up against Frankie Kazarian.
Great, great. With TNA having this working relationship with WWE, in fact, pro wrestling in general, it's a great scenario right now. Everybody's getting so much time, so much wrestlers coming in, so much promotions. You said that you are ready to hold the line in one of the interviews against NXT talent. My question would be, which NXT star would you put your international title in terms of not, from a perspective of the best program that you may have, talent wise, skill wise, that really would work out?
Well, there is a North American title in NXT right now held by an Ethan Page that I think that would be a fun matchup to have, especially with that dynamic of him and Chelsea Green, and how they want to be this hierarchy of the Patriots, I guess they call it. Would be a lot of fun to have that dynamic. But yeah, I would say Ethan Page to have the international championship going up against the North American championship would be pretty cool, especially to take that North American title back over to TNA while they're holding hostage of our TNA world title.
Great, great. You did mention briefly there about Chelsea Green. I'd like to take that as a segue to one of our good friends, your wife, Deonna Purrazzo.
Yes.
And illustrious the career as a pro wrestler. Just want to get into like how does sharing a wrestling journey, Deonna, influence your relationship both, personally and professionally as well?
It's the best. My wife's my best friend. She's one of my favorite wrestlers to watch too, as well, which is fun to like because I'm not the biggest fan of watching women fight and also get hit. Not saying that just that's not been my thing, but like when it's done right, it's done right. And my wife is one of those that does it right as a wrestler, and she's one of the best in the world technically to me that I watch, and I learn so much from her, and she helps me so much in so many different ways, whether it's my promos with my own vernacular and my vocabulary. With just getting a lot of words that I need to get jumbled out of my head out there for you guys to understand properly. But it's the best. And we have our own podcast launching today. Our first episode just dropped on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, on YouTube as well,
Fantastic.
Boots to Boots. So it's been a new journey that we're both going after, which is kind of fun. We're putting on our podcast Boots. So if you want to check that out, go to @Boots to Boots and check that out, or on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. But
Fantastic,
it's
fantastic.
dude, it's the best. We got to travel together when we worked together in TNA. Now she's over in AEW and she's trying to go after the ROH Pure Championship, and I'm hoping she's gonna bring that home. She's got her ROH Women's Championship and the Impact Knockouts title over there. So if you can see
Yeah.
it, then I got my Impact World title sitting right there, and then this one will be on the shelf at some point soon. So
Many more to come on that shelf for sure there.
yes.
Steve. Uh, and Speaking to Deonna there, what's the most valuable piece of advice that he has given you or you've taken from that's something that's stuck to your mind?
Taking in those moments when they're there and you don't expect it, and soaking it in and having those moments to look to the crowd where normally I'm very much straightforward. There's my target, go kill it. And then for her, she's very much just soak it in and take that moment. And that's where I've kind of learned the most from her, is just having those moments where we're watching a match back and she's like, you should do this here, you should do this here. I'm like, no, you're right. And I should have. And then that's where I kind of learn. And that's also the best part too, is when you have somebody you trust and love to give you the criticisms and honest criticisms when you need to be working on certain different things. That's where you truly find the people that support you. And I have friends like that as well in the wrestling business where I can go to. And those are the people you seek out for, even just in life too, where life advice, where you just want to find that honest, whether it's something you don't want to hear at the time.
Yep.
Those are the good people.
That's fine. That's good. That's good. Some fun questions here. I mean, look, wrestling, it's just a fantasy world, right? One of the most common things that I'm guessing you must have heard this or been asked this a million times. If you could book yourself in a dream match with any wrestler, past, present, any company, who would that be and why?
It would be Roddy Piper, just
Wow.
because that was my grandmother's favorite. And for her to see that, for her grandson to wrestle Roddy Piper and the guy that she fell in love with as a wrestler, but then also for her grandson to wrestle up against, it would be a fun one to see who she's rooting for in that one. I'm sure she'd go Piper, but she'd be sitting there probably rooting me on. That'd probably be my dream match there. And if it was in any building, oof, Madison Square Garden. That's the mecca to me of wrestling, is if any building. I wish they still did WrestleManias there, but they don't anymore. So
That would have been fantastic.
Maybe
Yeah.
TNA will run the Garden at some point. That's what we're building to. Bound for Glory. We had the gate, North American gate record at Slammiversary, and now we have Bound for Glory at Lowell, Massachusetts. If we can get to the Garden one day, that would be something else.
That would be fantastic indeed. Yeah. And something, what's the most ridiculous or embarrassing that, that's happened to you during a match that fans probably would have missed? Because everything now is viral, right? Everything's on social media. But there must be
Yeah.
something that you would have gone, oh, somebody missed this. But yeah, it was quite embarrassing to you.
It was one of my first times in NXT. I had an entrance. It was a TV taping at UCF College here in Orlando. It was just up the road from Full Sail. And I had an entrance. And as I'm coming out the curtain, I slipped on the floor and fell down. And
Oh,
I just popped right back up. I'm like, oh my God, that was the most embarrassing thing in the entire world. That's up there. But then there was plenty of times with Blake and I when we were tag teaming, just moments in matches where one of us would slip off the apron or we trip over a rope coming in the ring. There's those moments that nobody notices, but we laugh at later on, where you just have that moment. And Blake and I got such a good as a tag team. We just flowed together, and we would just pick on each other mid match. You're like, oh, why would you do that move? Like, just certain things like that were always fun. I'm like, ooh, that wasn't good. Just good little commentary from the apron was always fun to do together.
yeah, that was what as I mentioned earlier, your combination with Blake, yourself, and Jason Riker there with Forgotten Sons was one of the best things I'd seen in NXT. Again, as I
Oh,
said,
thank you.
didn't really go ahead. But yeah, on that itself, just to follow up on that, it had its controversial moments as well. But from a genuine military service point of view, how were you able to differentiate that character to your own like genuine military background there? How were you able to differentiate that?
So when we originally started the Forgotten Sons, it was just Blake and I, and then Riker was thrown in later on, and I based everything off of the show Sons of Anarchy. And I
Yeah.
was trying to take from the main character of Jax Teller and his best friend Opie, and it was very much Blake and I, and that's how I wanted it, because we became best friends in a bar. And when we pitched the idea, like, yeah, we literally, I got to NXT when I first got to developmental, and we were just hanging out at the bar and we just became best friends. And like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Like, that makes perfect sense. That's how some friendships happen. We got introduced as friends. They go, hey, this is a cool guy. Hey, you want to be friends? Yeah, like, it just happens. We just hit it off, and we just had that good just vibe together. We could understand without thinking. We knew what each other was, without saying anything. We knew each other was thinking, and we very much based it off of that. And then creatively, they were trying to throw in the military side of things, which I always try to shy away from, but it
Oh,
just, why, like, you wanted to tap into that because it's a good selling point too. And to my character now with TNA Wrestling and it's who I've always kind of wanted to be. And I steal a lot from the Punisher with John Brentonthal and like how that realism is there. And also I take a little bit from Captain America, where I want to be Captain America, and that's kind of like on that pedestal, but I'm never the one because that's not who I am. I'm never the one that's
yeah.
pushing my military background on anybody. And that's also, again, back to our podcast. My wife and I, she calls it my superpower, where she's like, "This is a tool that you have in your arsenal, where it's just like it's a story of it's part of you, and you have to kind of get that out there." And it's something that I've always kind of shied away from, but now I'm learning how to just kind of use my superpower and kind of put it out there without force feeding it, because I've never been the gung ho hacksaw Jim Duggan, Hulk Hogan, American flag waving. Like, there's a time and a place for that pride, but at the same time, not everybody understands that or gets that, and it's not realistic, especially coming from the veteran community where I'm trying to represent. That's who I am, and I try to be as authentic as I can, especially in being as true to myself as I can too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Great answer, though. Yeah, fantastic. I mean, amplifying whatever it is, your roots are amplifying it in the best possible manner. That's
Yeah.
probably how would I put it. Yeah. A couple of last questions I have. One would be outside of wrestling and, of course, the military service, what's the hobby or interest that you might have, might surprise the fans as well that they may not know about?
Oh, I love cooking. Cooking's fun. I enjoy cooking a lot when I'm home. I have my gym here at the house too, and then just doing maintenance on the house too, or just doing little side projects. We're in the process of doing our laundry room right now and putting up cabinets and stuff like that. So a lot of carpentry interests me. I love mowing the grass. I love my yard. Like that's I take so much pride in my backyard for just to be as green as possible and as not dead spots at all. Especially having three pups, it's very hard to kind of keep up to par of what I want, and I take a lot of pride in my home. That's my outside of things. Is I try to take the best care of my home and appreciate every moment that I get to be inside my house.
Thank you once again for your time.
Thank you so much for your time.